In the world of cinema, there are actors, and then there are icons who redefine entire genres. In the 1960s and 70s, one man did exactly that. He didn't just play characters. He created two of the most unforgettable, complex antiheroes in film history. One wore thick glasses, cooked his own meals, and made bureaucracy look terrifying. The other wore sharp mohair suits, carried a gun without blinking, and tore through the criminal underworld like a storm. I'm talking about Michael Caine, Harry Palmer, and Jack Carter. Today, we're diving into how Michael Caine reshaped spy, thrillers, and crime cinema forever, creating two characters that still influence filmmakers, writers, and audiences more than 50 years later. But before we begin, if you love stories of cinema history, legendary actors, and the films that shaped generations, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. It was the height of the Cold War. James Bond was dominating the box office, stylish, glamorous, saving the world with gadgets, martinis, and charm. But producer Harry Saltzman, one of the men behind 007, wanted something different. He wanted an anti-Bond, someone grounded, someone ordinary. Enter Harry Palmer, played by Michael Caine in the Ipcress file, 1965. Palmer was no tuxedo-wearing super spy. He wore thick-rimmed glasses. He shopped for groceries. He cooked his own eggs. He was sardonic, skeptical, and much more like the average man than the untouchable James Bond. The film's direction by Sidney J. Fury amplified that realism. Offices and government buildings were shot with tilted angles, ceilings framed overhead, and disorienting close-ups. Bureaucracy wasn't sleek, it was nightmarish. Where Bond films sold escapism, the Ipcress file captured paranoia. Its philosophical core was about individual agency against institutional manipulation. Palmer wasn't battling supervillains. He was struggling against a system designed to control minds. The visual style was stunning, using foreground and background in sharp focus to make every room feel like a trap. John Barry's eerie score, featuring the Cymbalum, gave the story a sinister atmosphere. And yet, Palmer's strength came from his ordinariness. He wasn't larger than life. He was stubbornly normal. As critic Alexander Walker put it, a mass audience masterpiece. Even the name Harry Palmer was chosen because it sounded boring. And yet, Caine made that name iconic. The 1960s was a golden age of spy cinema, but Palmer was a deliberate contrast to James Bond. Bond traveled the world, seduced glamorous women, and defused bombs in casinos. Palmer fought bureaucracy, made coffee, and survived by wit and skepticism. Both came from working-class Britain, but Palmer reflected the everyday man's struggle to keep his individuality intact within a corrupt, manipulative system. One of his best lines captures it perfectly. "I'm going to cook you the best meal you've ever eaten." A spy whose identity is rooted not in tuxedos and Aston Martins, but in the small rituals that keep him human. Then came 1971, and Michael Caine switched gears completely. If Harry Palmer was methodical and sardonic, Jack Carter was cold, unflinching, and merciless. Mike Hodges' Get Carter wasn't a glossy studio film. It was shot entirely on location in Newcastle, in the bleak industrial north of England. No sets, no polish, just raw, documentary-style realism. Caine's performance as Carter, a gangster investigating his brother's death, was chilling. He wore mohair suits, carried himself with deadly calm, and delivered lines with the weight of a hammer. His most famous? "You're a big man, but you're in bad shape. With me it's a full-time job. Now, behave yourself." The philosophy of Get Carter was simple but devastating. Vengeance destroys the self. Carter methodically eliminates everyone responsible. But at what cost? By the end, there's nothing left but violence and futility. Get Carter was revolutionary because it was so unflinching. The locations weren't glamorous. There were pubs, back alleys, and decaying docks. The Trinity Square car park, a brutalist concrete structure, became an icon of the film. Every place Carter visited felt alive, ugly, and real. The soundtrack by Roy Budd was equally raw. His jazz trio recorded the score live to picture, making it one of the most authentic film scores of its time. Caine's performance wasn't loud, it was restrained. His cold stare carried more menace than shouting ever could. He didn't need theatrics. He was the storm itself. Critics later called Get Carter a stone-cold, liquid nitrogen classic, and it still holds up as one of the greatest British films ever made. What makes Caine's career so extraordinary is how he played two characters from similar working-class roots, yet made them utterly distinct. Harry Palmer, mundane, witty, anchored by small rituals, uses intellect and stubborn normalcy to resist manipulation. Jack Carter, cold, savage, consumed by vengeance, uses violence as punctuation, destroying himself in the process. One survives by keeping his humanity intact. The other loses everything by abandoning it. Together, Palmer and Carter redefined the spy and crime genres, influencing filmmakers for decades. Quentin Tarantino even calls Get Carter his favorite British film of all time. The Ipcress file gave us a new kind of spy, skeptical, ordinary, cerebral. Get Carter gave us a new kind of gangster, methodical, brutal, unsentimental. Together, these films asked one haunting question: can an individual keep their identity intact in a corrupt system? Harry Palmer said yes, through wit, rituals, and resilience. Jack Carter said no, through rage, vengeance, and destruction. And Michael Caine proved he was not just Britain's most versatile leading man, but one of cinema's greatest actors, period. Michael Caine gave us two unforgettable characters that still shape cinema today. So, which one do you think left a bigger impact? Harry Palmer or Jack Carter? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into cinema history, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon, and share this video with a fellow movie fan. Until next time, remember, sometimes it's not about tuxedos and martinis. Sometimes it's about thick glasses, mohair suits, and the choices that define who we are.